G'day guys and gal. If there is one faction that doesn't get nearly enough attention, it's the Dark Eldar. And to be honest, I can't blame you guys for not being super interested in them. Most of their range looks a bit meh, other than the Incubi that are extremely dope, or you know, the Space Elf Demon Hunter from Major Minis. But what's really holding them back is their complete lack of presence in the lore. Other than raiding backwater, almost defenseless Imperial worlds, or messing with the Tau, or helping the Cryfords but in a really dickish way, they don't really seem to do much. Well, they don't unless their name is Asdrubael Vect. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but we're gonna roll with it. Vect is the Lord of the Dark Eldar, and he's been a busy little bee, buzz, backstabbing, scheming, and mass murdering his way to the top. This man is an absolute joy and my pleasure to talk about to you today. But before we get into it, I am engaging in a call to action. We are gunning hard for 600k subscribers, and the only people that can help me get you there are you guys and gal. Why should you care? Well, as I've said a few times, there is something special coming at 600k subs, and it has feathery angelic wings and nice boobs. But I'm gonna be withholding that until 600k, so if you aren't subbed and you like the sound of that, then give me a go. I probably won't disappoint. And if you aren't interested in that, then think about all the people that are. Time to stop being a selfish little Timmy and think about the big picture. I genuinely think 600k will be my last major milestone we hit for a long time, so I've been gearing up a few things for it. Today we'll go over the life, rise, death, and rebirth of Asdrubael Vect, the most evil man to ever live in all of Warhammer 40k. Now, giving someone the title of most evil person in Warhammer is pretty wild, but trust me, he takes the cake. I'll go into a lot more detail why he is the most evil, but for now I'll put it like this. A Dark Eldar must cause suffering in order to rejuvenate their body and soul and keep Slaanesh at bay. However, the older they are, the more suffering they need to cause to get the same effect. After all, Slaanesh enacts a heavy price on those who have been kept for her for too long. Vect is over 10,000 years old. The amount of puppies he would have had to stomp on and the amount of balls he would need to break to keep Slaanesh off his tits would be astronomical. Like if he wasn't a Lord of the Dark Eldar and had access to infinite bitches to whip, this dude would have been claimed many years ago. But let's go back to the beginning, the origins of this naughty boy. To his credit, Vect was not born with a silver spoon shoved up his ass. He was born just before the fall of the Eldar as a low-class underling in Commorragh. This Commorragh wasn't the one we know today. It was a hub in the webway that was the gathering point for the most depraved, drug-loving and fucking Eldar there was. Vect was sold into slavery and would have been forced to endure some pretty nasty shit. According to his own account, which in itself is to be taken with a grain of salt, he actually witnessed the fall of the Eldar as a child, with Commorragh being spared the worst of it due to being protected by the webway. From here, the ambitious Vect would bend his wit, strength and cruelty into rising slowly but steadily through the ranks of the Dark Eldar. Every step he took was marked with schemes, betrayal and blood. Eventually, Vect was powerful and respected enough to found his own cabal, the Cabal of the Black Heart. However, despite spending thousands of years building up his strength and support, the noble families were still too powerful. However, in saying that, by the time the ruling royal families of Commorragh were like, oh wait, this guy could actually fuck us up, he had already united huge swathes of Commorragh under his banner and was no longer an easy target just to order the death of. However, as stated, Vect couldn't really just go into open war against the royal family. It would tear Commorragh apart and it was a war he may not win. So he concocted a devious scheme. Oh Vect, you spicy monkey. Vect couldn't take out his rivals by himself, so he recruited the Salamander Space Marine chapter to do his dirty work. Obviously, the Salamanders aren't just going to willingly help the most evil man in the galaxy, so Vect raided the literal tits off an Imperial supply line, causing a Salamander ship to arrive to investigate. Vect ambushed it and managed to cripple it before then towing it through the webway portal into Commorragh. The noble houses, however, got their dicks out and seized the ship from Vect's fleet. Now you gotta remember that there were hundreds of pissed off Salamanders still on board, with the Dark Eldar underestimating them. Time and time again, the Dark Eldar boarded to take their prize. Time and time again, they were blown apart by bolter fire. The noble houses actually gave Vect his salvage rights back as they were sick of losing so many warriors. Vect simply continued the pointless battle by sending in those Dark Eldar he believed to be disloyal, thus purging his cabal of weakness. Then Vect's plan truly came to fruition. See, the Salamander ship had a librarian on board who acted as a psychic beacon to tell the Imperium where they were. All Vect had to do was keep the webway portal open and then bam, 24 strike cruisers with thousands of space marines from various chapters entered Commorragh, guns blazing. Hundreds of Astartes begun raining down on drop pods and turbo fucked the Dark Eldar to death, smashing and exploding the towers and palaces of Commorragh, creating an epic city battle where all the citizens of Commorragh were invited to get involved. Vect watched this play out, subtly influencing events here and there, like when the High Archon of the Noble House was hit with a stray Dark Lance beam that killed him instantly. Wonder how that happened. Vect also sabotaged most of the technology that was preventing the Space Marines from leaving Commorragh, so leave they did, with the Salamander ship in tow. Due to the intensity of the battle as well as Vect's influence, the royal family and the noble houses had been destroyed. A large contributing factor to this was the fact their spires and palaces were at the highest points of Commorragh, so when the Space Marines arrived and went ham, it was these spires and towers that got destroyed the most thoroughly. Any surviving nobles had lost their power due to the embarrassment of mere humans being able to arrive in Commorragh and take their ship back and leave without too much issue. Vect quickly filled the power vacuum to become the undisputed Dark Master of Commorragh. Quite the scheme. Vect loathed any form of nobility or royalty. It was them that gave him such a shitty childhood after all, so he restructured Commorragh's political system. The Cabals were the new rulers, Dark Eldar who rise not through bloodline or privilege, but through taking what they want. Vect wasn't done though. Commorragh was the heart of a network of sub-realms that were loosely connected. Vect wished to conquer each of these sub-realms and drag them into his own realm. So one by one he either captured or destroyed these rival sub-realms. For one realm, he sent its ruler a gift, that being a black hole in a box that proceeded to consume them and their entire realm. For another, he threw a burning Imperial ship at it that then detonated its warp drive, destroying most of the realm and allowing demons to manifest and consume the rest. It was just dog shit like this that Vect did to consolidate his power until Commorragh was the only Dark Eldar realm in the webway. Many Archons attempted to usurp Vect or assassinate him, but this always ended terribly for them, as not only would Vect always easily survive, but then he would go on to find out who attempted to betray him, turning them into worms or butt plugs or whatever. Vect was in control, however he noticed that the pull of Slaanesh was getting stronger and stronger. The pain he used to inflict that would easily rejuvenate him now barely helped. He had to literally commit mass acts of torture to thousands to keep afloat, which meant that he needed to increase his Cabal's raid notably just to keep himself going. To make matters worse, the Great Rift had opened at a similar time to the awakening of Yeved event, when Yvraine became the Prophet. This caused a massive warp rift to tear open in Commorragh and spill demons out everywhere. The Dark City was now in a full-on war, with Vect being forced to permanently seal off subrealms and even blast others into the warp. The rise of the Ynnari also got many Dark Eldar to reevaluate their lives. They could either continue to constantly live in fear of betrayal and backstabbing, as well as the constant need to make people suffer to stay alive, or they could pledge to their new death god and finally have a purpose and be free of Slaanesh. Many Dark Eldar chose Ynnari and revolted against Vect, claiming subrealms in the name of their death god. Vect was like, bruh, what the fuck? First he was getting old and creaky, now there were demons everywhere, and now the Dark Eldar were choosing another path. He tried to have Yvraine assassinated many times, but Yeved, the god of death, wasn't going to just allow that to happen. To add the cherry on top, a bunch of mandrakes appeared out of nowhere and assassinated Vect, also destroying his backups as well, which gave him a true death. Man just couldn't catch a break. His funeral was organised by the Harlequins, who often act as the middlemen between each of the Eldar sub-factions, with most of Commorragh's Archons and elites, both loyal and disloyal to Vect, attending. But then the Harlequins went to town and murdered all of the attendees, their blood mixing to form a river that flowed into Vect and brought him back to life, his body rejuvenated and infused with power. He was now a Dark Muse, which is like a living saint for the Imperium. All the loyal Archons were brought back to life, while some of the unloyal ones were as well, but only to be turned into slaves or abominations. This was kinda like a hard reset for Vect, taking out the unloyal Archons, restoring his vitality, and preparing to fuck. The demon threat to Commorragh is mostly contained at great cost, and Vect has been systematically wiping out the Ynnari within the Dark City, although it's proving to be quite tough. Now that brings us up to speed on his timeline, as with the failure of the Ynnari books due to fucking atrocious writing, the Eldar haven't really gotten any new lore in ages, but I expect in the next 30 years or so for us to get an update on Vect. Maybe he ends up doing something really fucked up and evil, like blowing a puppy's brains out because he was unable to train it properly. Vect is seen as this master schemer, but is he also a decent warrior or combatant? Yes, actually. Probably the deadliest out of all the Dark Eldar behind Drazar. He has all the usual high-tier Drukhari gear like the Ghost Plate armor and Shadow Field for protection, but it's his Scepter of the Dark City, Obsidian Orbs, and Dais of Destruction that make him such a menace. The Scepter is an advanced power weapon that if it strikes you and you somehow survive, you will be completely crippled by agony. The Orbs are a soul-based weapon. Vect can use them to drain the souls and life energy from an opponent and then deposit it within himself if he needs to heal. And finally, his Dais, a small craft that has laser beams, force fields, and all kind of gizmos to make Vect one hard to kill motherfucker. Honestly, he sounds like a really fun boss battle if they ever made a video game with him in it. Vect needed to be able to survive a shitload of assassination attempts, so he had to turn himself into one of the most unassassinatable people ever. When he was actually successfully killed, it's implied that it was one of his schemes, and the assassination was also done by mandrakes, who were terrifying in their own right. Also, as a fun side note, Vect often uses doppelgangers in his place, making him even harder to assassinate. As to why the Harlequins helped Vect regain his strength and power when he was trying to destroy the Inari, a faction the Harlequins often help and are massively involved in, I don't fucking know. What do I look like, a Loremaster YouTuber? Oh yeah, let's just say Vect fucked like a champion and Salandri Veilwalker couldn't bear to see that dick be put down. Yep. That's why. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then subscribe. Because as they say, if we don't hit 600k, then you are gay. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.